So I've audited over 150 application funnels in the last 18 months, and 90% of the time I see the same exact problem in each and every single one of them. I look at the funnel, the offer looks solid, the content is converting, and the landing page is optimized. But when I check the metrics, I see that their show rate is 30 to 40%, while their close rate is 20 to 30. And I ask the owner how their closer feels about lead quality, and they always say the same thing: burnt out, half the people who book don't show, or aren't serious. So the owner thinks, okay, I need more applications, I need to scale, blah, blah, blah. The same exact stuff that you get told online. But here's exactly what happens. They optimize the funnel to get 50 applications a week, show rate stays at around 30%, and now the closer is overwhelmed and burned out because they're getting 7 calls a day with unqualified prospect. Conversion rate tanks because the lead quality dropped, and the owner starts to think, hey, maybe my offer sucks, maybe my pricing is wrong, or maybe my landing page is just not converting. But the offer is fine, the pricing is fine, the niche is fine. The problem? The 3 questions on the application form that nobody thinks about strategically. So in this video, I'll show you the 3-question framework that fixes this systematically, what each question does to filter out tire kickers and only get you the most qualified prospects, why most application funnels accidentally let in unqualified leads, the reminder sequence that gets 70% show rates consistently, and the math that proves 15 applications that are qualified always beats 50 applications a week that are completely unqualified. Let's get into it. So we're going to start off by breaking down why exactly volume is a trap. So most people think that the problem is, I need more applications, more calls, more volume. That's what everyone tells you, right? But when you optimize for volume, you end up on 7 calls a day with people who can't afford you, aren't serious, or are just gathering information. Your closer gets burnt out, or if you're doing that job, you're going to get burnt out. Your show rate tanks, and you start second guessing your offer. And it's not your offer, it's your application questions. Most people don't even know application questions have a job beyond collecting a name and email or whatever the hell you want to actually put onto that page. And the math actually on volume plays like very, very obvious, right? So 50 applications a week, maybe 30 to 40% of them show, and that's like 15 to 20 calls. You close maybe 30 to 40% of those because half are unqualified. That's like 6 to 8 clients a week. So again, 50 on the top end, right? 30 to 40% of them show, let's say 40, that's 15 to 20 calls, let's say that's 20 calls. And then that's like 8 clients every single week if you have average show rates at around, close rates at around 30 to 40%, right? That's the main offer right here. Now, on the other hand, if you go for the framework that we're discussing here today, it's going to be 15 to 20 applications a week. So already, even if you have a way, way lower audience or a smaller audience, you're still going to be able to actually handle this framework. But 70+% show rate. So that's like 12 to 15 calls. Like basically we lost nobody at this point, right? Let's say on the lower end, close rate jumps to literally 50 to 60% because people showing up are actually qualified. And if you have any kind of a okay closer, he'll be able to close at least 50%, right? So let's say that's a 60% close rate, and that's going to result in the same exact 8 clients on the back end. Of course, if you can just switch out a few of these numbers, if you're going to get a few lower leads, bam, you can just up the actual show rate, and then you'll be able to get way more actual clients, right? So it's a very easy system to tweak because you have insane control over every single part of the funnel, right? So if you have if you have a really small audience, you can go ahead and get only 15 people on the top end, but then just optimize your landing page and optimize your application questions enough to the point where you get 12 people to show up out of that 15, right? It's the same exact psychology here, except instead of trying to brute force your way through, you're actually being smart about it and using your human intelligence, which is what has been given to you, basically, right? So this all relies kind of on the 3 jobs framework, which is basically just a framework that is pretty self-explanatory. There's 3 jobs that your questions have. And these were one of the biggest breakthroughs that I had with a few of my clients, and we were able to easily scale to 50, 100K a month with just the 3 jobs framework. It's insanity how much it can actually affect your business. If you're at 10, 20K a month, this could be the difference between you hitting 50, 60, 70K months within the next 90 days, right? So number 1, you want to filter for budget without asking about budget. So most people ask, what's your budget, or don't ask at all. I have seen both tank conversion rates like crazy. What works is that, you can ask, what have you invested in yourself or your business in the last 12 months, and what results did you get? This reveals behavior. I bought a $47 course and didn't finish it, tells you everything. I spent $10,000 on a coach, and made $30,000 back. That is a buyer, right? Just out of past experience, if they've already been burnt by another course or whatever, and they know, and you know they're not going to implement, right? They didn't finish it. If you know they're not going to implement, no matter how good your product is, they are not going to get that big result that they are actually striving for, right? They're not going to get to that top of that staircase because they don't have the balls to climb it, right? Now, number 2 here is identify the pain point in their own words, right? You don't want to use your words being the seller and being the person in a different situation from your buyer, right? You want to use the words that they would use instead of your own. So the way you want to do this is you basically want to pre-frame the sales call, right? That's the reason you're doing this is because you want to pre-frame the sales call. If they write out their problem, they've already admitted it. They cannot backtrack. That's a basic human tenet. They will not backtrack if they've already admitted a specific idea or ideal. Let's say somebody tells you, hey, this is the reason arguments go on for so long. It's just because people are adamant on their specific side of the argument and they won't even give you a chance to talk. And if you've been in an argument before, which I hope most of you guys have, because that's a basic human thing to do. But if you have been in an argument before, obviously you will notice that every single time somebody has given you an opinion, presented an opinion, you have to repeat the right answer multiple times for them to eventually agree. And sometimes they don't even agree at the end, right? It's crazy, but that's just how humans work. They cannot backtrack. And you can use this to your advantage when you're asking about application questions. Now, the question here is, if nothing changes in the next 90 days, what does that cost you? Be specific. Money, time, sanity, relationships, whatever. And this is verbatim, by the way. You don't need to copy paste everything that I'm telling you here, but this is basically what you want to cover, right? You don't need to say whatever if it's not a part of your personal brand. If you have a very formal personal brand, then make these more formal. And, I'm not giving you a full template, right? I'm just giving you the basic framework for you guys to build off of to make your own application questions as well. And I'm getting you to understand the psychology behind the application questions so you can make your own as well. Now, best buyers will write paragraphs here. Worst will write, I don't know. Somebody who wrote 3 paragraphs about losing $5,000 a month, that call will close itself, right? Unless you fumble it. You're basically just having a cashier at this point. Now, number 3 is qualify their motivation and separate the browsers from the buyers. So this is missing from like 80% of funnels. It's one thing to have a problem and a budget, and another thing to be ready right now, right? This is a lot of people will ask, oh, what is your motivation, or what is your problem? What is your budget? They might have one. They might have a budget. They might have a problem. But what if they're not ready? I've seen multiple people making $50,000, $60,000 a month hop on sales calls with me, and they'll be like, oh, sorry, I can't afford that, or I'm not ready for it. I need some time to think. And I'm like, obviously you need to go ahead and qualify these people before, because why would you waste your time on them if they're not even going to be ready on the call, right? That just makes no sense. And so just allow them to be nurtured from your content and then come back later and actually be ready to use that money. Just having money is not enough. Being willing to use it is the thing that actually matters. If I were to sell you, this is a great analogy that I love talking about, but if I were to sell you a Lamborghini, right? This is just think of this as a Lamborghini, all right? I'm not good at drawing, but that was messed up. But okay. Anyways, think of this as a Lamborghini. If I was to give you this Lamborghini for $10,000 and you knew it was worth, if you resold it, maybe 10x that at $100,000, right? Then would you be able to find that $10,000 somewhere, right? You would be able to scrape this together. Obviously, you would be able to. And we can even sweeten the deal, add another zero, right? Make it $1 million. And so, again, you would be able to find that $10,000. So people can find the money. It's just, are they willing to give you that money? Are they willing to find that money? Are they willing to spare that money for you specifically? And that's what you're trying to get here. You're not just trying to ask those basic questions that a lot of people are asking. So the question here is, what has prevented you from solving this until now, and why is today different? You're looking for urgency. I just lost a client, or revenue dropped 40%, or about to get a real job if this doesn't work. Obviously, they won't give you exact percentages, but this is verbatim again. If they cannot articulate why now, they are browsing. You cannot close a browser. You cannot close a window shopper. You cannot close somebody who does not want to buy your product. If they can't see the value within your product, then how are you supposed to get them to buy? It's a stupid ideal that you cannot get them to buy. It just makes no sense, right? Now, next is the generic versus the top 1% questions. And this is going to give you a lot more clarity on exactly how to implement these questions into your own funnel and your own Typeform, or whatever form software you're using. By the way, if you're not using Typeform, what are you doing? But implement it to your own form so that you can actually swap out specific questions, so you can understand exactly which questions you need to actually swap out, because sometimes people swap out the wrong questions and mess up their whole entire type form by qualifying very weirdly. So this is going to give you a lot of clarity on exactly which questions to swap out and what exactly you need to stop asking. Now, what most funnels ask is the following: what's your current monthly revenue? This does not tell you anything useful. Someone making $2,000 a month could be a better buyer than somebody making $20,000 if their psychology is different. I've seen this play out dozens of times. Coming back to the same idea that I was talking about previously, somebody with $60,000 a month could hop on a call with me, but if they don't want to buy my service, it's not going to work, right? They're not going to just give me money. That's not how that works, right? So next is, what are your goals? Nobody takes this seriously. They write make more money or grow my business or some vague garbage. This is completely useless. And I'm sure you guys have seen this play out again and again and again, and you're just not changing it. Which again, why are you not changing it if you've seen it so many times? 90% of you guys have seen this multiple times. And if you haven't, you're very, very much in the low leagues at this point. So you're going to see this very, very quickly. It's going to come into your business the moment you start it, basically. Now, are you ready to invest in yourself? Everyone says yes. It's a throwaway question. It does not filter anything. It's just adding more friction. If you want that, cool, put it in there. If you don't. It's dumb. Most of you guys don't want more friction, by the way. And I'll get into good friction and bad friction in a second and the whole framework about that. So, cool your jets, and we'll get into that in a quick second. That's actually one of the parts of this video. Now, what top converting funnels ask? What have you invested in yourself or your business in the last 12 months? What results did you get? If they have not invested anything, they're probably not going to start with you. And if they invested $10,000 and they got 0 results, that's actually a good sign. They're in pain. They've tried stuff. They're ready for something that actually works, right? They've been scarred before. So, a lot of people will take this badly and be like, oh my God, no, they're scarred before, so they have trauma. That's fine. That means that they are ready for a solution. They're more ready for a solution. And, they've tried multiple times. So they're exhausted at this point and will just go for anything that sounds better than what they're at right now. So they've been in that pain for a while. So that pain has been stewing for a very, very long while. And it has actually been amplified by them getting bad results from somebody else. So see this as a good sign, not a bad one. Now, if nothing changes in the next 90 days, what does that cost you? Be specific. This forces them to calculate the cost of inaction. Once they write it down, I'll lose another $15,000. My wife will leave. I'll have to go back to a 9-to-5. They've sold themselves. You just show up on the call and connect the dots. Obviously, again, very exaggerated example, but people have a lot of problems that literally people will feel like their problems in life is literally as bad as this. That's insane, but that's how humans work. They have their own problems. You just need to get them to write it down. Basically, that's your main goal here. Now, what's prevented you from solving this until now, and why is today different? This separates, the I'm just looking around crowd from the I need to fix this right now crowd. 2 sentences equals not serious. Have half a page about every failed attempt and why this time has to be different. That is your buyer. Obviously, don't take this straight up, head on. Don't take this to heart, basically. Take this to heart, but don't take it head on, don't just, this is again verbatim, right? You don't want to be like, don't just unqualify anybody who does 2 sentences, but just understand that, hey, this guy might be not as this guy might not be as qualified. And so just score the lead accordingly. And Typeform literally has a lead scoring feature. So if they write 2 sentences on here, and you can be like, oh, low quality lead, and your closer can prioritize them less compared to your higher quality leads. Or if you have multiple closers, you can just give the crappy leads to the crappy closer and give the good leads to the good closer. That's how literally the biggest companies in the world are doing it. So why don't you do it, right? Simple. Now, next is going to be the Typeform hack that I keep seeing. And this is something interesting that not a lot of people are talking about at all, and I've not seen this around at all. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe you've seen it somewhere, but I've not seen this in 90% of places that I've been looking. So this is an interesting hack that can up your your conversion rates overall from Typeform to booking by literally 20%. And it's insane. So definitely keep listening for this one. So when somebody fills out your application, do not redirect them to Calendly on a separate page. This redirect actually kills the momentum. I've tested this across multiple client funnels, same questions, same everything. The redirect literally just bleeds leads. And I've measured this, and it's about 20% on average leads gone. That's 20, literally, you can think about this. That's 20% of your business that you just left right there. And maybe you'll say, oh, they're unqualified. Sure, make that 15%. Do you not want to add 15% to your business by just integrating Calendly into Typeform? Which, by the way, that's the exact reason that these big, huge companies are using Typeform and Calendly. because they integrate so well together. That's the main reason, right? So what you need to do instead is embed the Calendly booking widget into the last question of your type form. They answer question 4, they hit submit, and the calendar just appears. Same exact page. This is where sunk cost fallacy kicks in. They've already spent, 3 minutes filling in all the rest of the stuff. They've filled out the form. They're not going to bail now. And it feels like, one continuous flow instead of, okay, now go to this other website and pick a time. And I know this might feel a bit woo-woo and, woozy, kind of magic stuff. But again, this is backed by a ton of data. If you really don't believe this, just try it out in your own funnel. You will see the results. I'm confident in that. And you can just leave that down in the comments if you did see results on this. If not, feel free to leave that down below. I would love to get your opinion on this specific hack that I've been seeing. So next is friction and when to add it. I was talking about this previously. And by the way, if you guys don't know what friction is basically just making it harder for people to book. And sometimes you want to do this, sometimes you don't. Most of you don't want to do this. Like you probably on the other side of the screen, if you have a lower amount of followers and you probably do like maybe 2 to 10,000 followers, you probably really just don't need any more friction. You mostly just need to reduce friction. But when you get to the big leagues and you're at, 100K followers, 50K followers, 50K is probably also too little for this, but 50, 100K plus, that's when you really want to start filtering for friction and adding in friction. That's what Brez is doing. If you guys have seen his entire type form, which I was thinking about breaking down in this video, but I'm probably not going to do it. But, basically he has a question at the end of the funnel or the type form or whatever that just goes ahead and gives you a question, which is like, hey, why should we pick you? And that's literally the entire question. And they don't care a single dime. They don't give a crap about what you write in that question area. They just care that it's there, right? So now you're going to have to actually think about your application. You're going to have to go through effort and exude effort to actually be able to go through with the entire application process and actually book in a call now. So that is going to make sure that you only get the most qualified leads. So as you can see, you can add friction when you're getting, 30 plus applications a week, but show rate is below 50%. You're attracting the wrong people at this point. You want to add a long form question or a budget qualifier to filter harder. Or your closers are complaining about lead quality. If you're hearing nobody on this calls can afford it more than once a week, you need more friction. Now, this one I was hesitant on adding here because a lot of people will just go into your, go ahead and fold to their closers every single second. When your closers give you these complaints, research this, right? Check out the call recording, see it for yourself, because closers will complain for no reason, basically, because they're just people, right? People will complain for no reason. You need to look in there as a business owner, get into the weeds, look at a few call recordings, see, hey, what are these actually unqualified leads? I'd recommend looking at 10 call recordings or 5 call recordings if you are getting more than or 1 or 2, comments about nobody on these calls can afford it, right? By the way, this is from different people. If you have one closer, then if they're saying it multiple times, then it's probably a time for you to check it out, right? So next, you want to make sure that you want to add friction if you're doing 10K plus months consistently. You don't need volume at that point. You need better leads. You can filter harder at this point because, I'll see a lot of people doing 10K months. For example, hopped on a call with a agency owner basically a few weeks ago. They had 178,000 followers on Instagram and they were making maybe 10, 15K a month. And, it's just that level of the main reason was because they weren't able to outsource their work. They weren't able to get other people on sales calls. They wanted to lower the amount of sales calls that they were getting, which is of course going to be implemented by adding more friction through your type form, your other parts of your funnel, just adding more places where people can leave if they aren't strong-willed enough. And so that means that you'll be able to make more money with less calls and be less burnt out, which is what, of course, I recommended for him as well. Now, you don't want to add friction. You want to remove friction when you're getting like less than 10 applications a week. You do not have a quality problem yet. You have a volume problem. Use multiple choice, remove the tell me your life story fields. You need to focus and hammer in on your content and reducing friction as much as possible. If you're just starting out and testing a new offer or market, you also need to go ahead and, get data. You need conversations. Do not filter yet. Just get people on calls and learn from them, research them. And of course, if you're running, paid ads and your cost per application is climbing, do not burn cash on people who drop off at like question 6, right? And by the way, I don't work with a lot of people who are running paid ads, but for you guys who are running paid ads, this is a tip for you as well. Now, the no-show minimization framework. This was a highly recommended or requested framework. I've seen a lot of people asking me, hopping on calls with me, asking me, hey, how do we actually minimize the no-shows? So here's my exact no-show minimization framework, kind of on a high level, explained to you guys right here. So listen up. Right after they book, confirmation video, they're hit with one of them on a separate page, on a thank you page. It's gonna be about 30 seconds long, or maybe a minute or two if you really want to push it. You can be like, hey, name, just saw you booked, big step, here's what to expect. Lay out the call structure, no selling, just you made the right choice energy. You just want to basically reassure them on their original choice of booking in that call, because right now they've bought into your call with their time and their email. So you need to go ahead and make sure that they feel like that actually is worth it. This addresses buyer's remorse in the first 48 hours. That's actually when people ghost. They booked a call, feel good for maybe 10 minutes and then start second guessing. And this is where they decide to ghost or no show. The confirmation video stops that spiral from actually continuing. Think of it as kind of a stopper and a kind of reality check for the person. Number 2 is the reminder sequence. Now, I've gone way deeper on this on other videos, namely my full course video. You can find this on my channel, and I might link in the description if I don't forget. I might forget. I usually forget, but if I don't forget, I'll link it in the description. Otherwise, you can just search up, info is broken, whatever, full course on my channel, and you should be able to find it. It's even on my homepage on my channel, so you'll easily be able to find it. And I go way deeper on this reminder sequence, but this is a high level overview of exactly what to do. So 7 days out, you want to send them like a value tip related to their pain points, plus looking forward to our call next week. 3 days out is like a case study of someone similar to them, short, about 90 seconds max. Then 1 day out is the logistics, Zoom link, what to prepare, what we'll cover. 2 hours out is starting soon, laptop ready, calendar open, all that stuff. Then 15 minutes out is like hopping on in 15. I've seen show rates jump from 30 to 40% to 70 to 80% just by implementing this sequence. People are busy, they forget. You're just making it easy for them to remember and actually show up, which is your only job, to just make it easier for them. So do it, and do it as good as physically possible. Implementation checklist. Now, we've gone through everything in this video. I've dumped a ton of information on you, and obviously I want you to actually implement this into your business. So here's an exact implementation checklist on what exactly you need to do to implement this into your own business within the next 72 hours. So number 1, pull up your current application form. If you're asking what's your budget or what are your goals or any of that generic garbage, scrap it. Rewrite it using the 3 jobs framework, exactly what we covered here. Filter for budget, identify the pain point, and qualify their motivation. You want to go over all of those. Then 1 question for budget behavior, 1 for pain in their words, 1 for motivation and timing. Set up a type form if you're not using one already. Embed your Calendly widget into the last question. You can search up a tutorial on this on YouTube. It's very simple. They have native integration. You can just embed it. That's the main point. Again, coming back to my previous point, it's the main reason why huge enterprises use Typeform and Calendly together to actually work together, because they are so good at embedding into each other and integrate so well. Because literally you can have a Calendly widget as your final question in your form. Again, no redirect, test it yourself first. Number 4, record a 30-second confirmation video. Thanks for booking. Here's what to expect. You made the right choice. Simple stuff. Upload it to a thank you page or send it via email immediately after they book. Most people will not check their email, so I'd recommend uploading it to the thank you page and sending it via email, both ways, just to make sure that they watch it. Then build your 5-touch reminder sequence. So 7 days, 3 days, 1 day, 2 hours, 15 minutes, mixed value with logistics. Track your show rate for about 2 weeks. If you're about above 60 to 70%, you're good. Below 50%, you want to add more friction. Then adjust based on volume and quality. If it's 5 applications a week, remove friction. 40 applications a week and half for garbage, add friction. It's not a one-time thing. This is a course correct. You want to keep on course correcting as you go on with your business. This is going to change over time, and this is normal within a business. So again, just go ahead and course correct over time, and you'll be able to change this very easily. So of course, if you wanted, I've went over a ton of stuff in this video. If you feel like that's kind of overwhelming and everything like that, don't worry, I felt that too. So if you want somebody else to do this for you, if you're a coach, consultant, or an agency owner with an existing audience and you want somebody to implement this entire framework into your own coaching business, and of course, many other frameworks and many other SOPs that we have personally within my business as well, or within our services, then you can go ahead and check out the first link down below and book in a call with me or one of my team members. And of course, if it is an Instagram link, you can go ahead and just DM me on Instagram. We can talk, and from there, we'll be able to book in a call with me or one of my team members, and we'll be able to walk you through exactly what we would change in your business, and even guide you on the right path either way, even if we don't work together from that call. So you're going to get a ton of value either way. Leave a link down below for you guys to click, and you can check it out down below. Otherwise, if you don't want to do any of that and you just want to watch another one of my videos, you can go and check this one out right here because YouTube thinks that you'll like it. If you want to watch the whole funnel breakdowns playlist, which is basically a playlist of videos where I break down other people's funnels, it's a really good playlist with a ton of value, over like $50,000 to $100,000 worth of sauce just in this one playlist. You can check it out right down below here. And if you want to leave a like and subscribe, which I would appreciate, you can go ahead and leave a like down below the video and subscribe right in that down corner right there and also below the video. Hoping to see you in this next video. Goodbye.